As of May of 2022, there are currently 7,254 Interpol Red Notices active across the world. These notices are issued to highlight the worst of the worst and tell authorities across the world to be on the lookout for these people. It's not just Interpol that works to track down fugitives of the law, though, and there are entire networks within each agency that are dedicated to hunting some of the world's most wanted criminals. Number 5. If still alive today, William Bradford Bishop Jr. would be 85 years old, making him one of the oldest people to be on the FBI's most wanted list. Ever since 1976, William has been on the run and has been able to expertly evade authorities, outsmarting them at every turn. William Bradford Bishop is described by the FBI as intelligent, self-absorbed, and intense. And while many decades have passed since his crime was committed, they are still determined to catch him and put him behind bars where he belongs. It was clear to William's parents from a young age that their son was different in more ways than one. William was extremely intelligent, and by his adulthood, he could speak 5 languages and had obtained degrees from Yale and UCLA. There was also a darker side to William, a side that was angry, self-absorbed, and somewhat sociopathic. After graduating from university, William landed himself a job in counterintelligence with the US Army and married his sweetheart. All was going well for William, but deep down, something very dark was brewing. March 1st of 1976 would be the day that the Bishop's family's lives changed forever. William lived with his wife, his 3 sons, and his mother in Bethesda, Maryland. To the outside world, the Bishops looked just like any other family, with a neatly manicured lawn and a perfect house. But not everything is what it seems, and behind closed doors, William was intense and prone to violent outbursts towards his family, putting everyone on edge. The breaking point for William was finding out that he wasn't getting the promotion he had hoped for. Years of suppressing his feelings alongside the stress of home life and his career had finally boiled over. He quietly left his office, drove to the nearest mall, and bought a hammer and a can of gas. As his family went to bed one by one, William lay in wait. He managed to not draw any suspicion to himself, as he was known to suffer from insomnia, and it wasn't uncommon for him to be the last person to go to bed. As his family slept, William launched his attack, but that wasn't it. After his family were gone, he drove them out to a remote area in Columbia, North Carolina, where he started a fire and left. Hours later, the crime scene was uncovered, but by this point, William was gone. It wasn't until many days later that the Bishops were reported missing, and investigators managed to connect the crime scene in North Carolina to them. A hunt for William was now on, and with his US Army credentials, authorities knew that he could travel anywhere with ease. Weeks after the crime, William's car was found abandoned in the Great Smoky Mountains National Park, but there was no sign of William. An arrest warrant was issued by the FBI, and ever since then, he's been on the FBI's most wanted list. Some sightings have placed him across Europe and the US, and William speaks English, Italian, French, Spanish, and Serbo-Croatian fluently, which allows him to easily blend in. Almost 50 years have passed since William Bradford Bishop Jr. took the lives of his family, but the FBI are still determined to bring him to justice. William is described as a white male with brown hair and brown eyes, 6'1" and 180 pounds. He has a US diplomatic passport and also has a 6-inch vertical surgical scar on his lower back. William is a licensed pilot and has been described by the FBI as self-absorbed, intense, prone to violent outbursts, and preferred a neat and orderly environment. He is considered to be armed and extremely dangerous, and anyone with information is asked to contact the FBI's Baltimore field office at 410-265-8080. Number 4. Anna Barros was described by friends and family as a quiet and hardworking woman. In June of 2010, Anna was getting ready to fly out from Danbury to Arcos de Valdevez in Portugal, where she had spent much of her early life. Her annual trip to her home country was something she looked forward to every year, and her colleagues knew that come June, during the factory shutdown, Anna would be in Portugal reconnecting with family and having a relaxing vacation. Anna was also described as punctual and hardworking, so when she failed to show up for work on May 12th, her colleagues knew that something was wrong. After days had passed and there was still no word from Anna, her colleagues contacted her family, who shared her concerns. Anna's niece, Annabelle, recalled to News Times how she drove past her aunt's house, hoping to see any sign of life. Annabelle's concerns were growing, and then on May 28, 2010, she discovered her aunt's car abandoned in Rogers Park. Annabelle knew that this behavior was out of the ordinary for her aunt, and called the police to report her missing. After interviewing Anna's family members, one name kept popping up: Daniel Costa, her nephew. Daniel partially owned the property where Anna lived, and he had also made contact with Annabelle on May 15th, telling her that Anna was fine. Investigators continued to dig into Anna's disappearance, and on June 6th, they made a horrific discovery. Anna's body had been buried in the basement of her home, and forensic evidence obtained from the scene pointed to one person, Daniel Costa. Unfortunately, Daniel Costa left the US for Portugal on May 25, 2010, just days before his aunt was reported missing. Since then, Interpol has taken over the case and is now seeking any information that leads to the arrest of Daniel. Interpol has issued a red notice for Daniel and notes that he's a heavy gambler and may frequent casinos. Daniel Costa is described as a white male with brown hair and green eyes. He's 1.8 meters tall and 82 kilograms. Anyone with information is asked to contact Interpol Portugal or their nearest office. Number 3. Derek McGraw Ferguson has been dubbed Scotland's most wanted man by the British tabloids, and Ferguson is facing some very long prison sentences for some very serious crimes. Ferguson stands accused of being involved in organized crime groups, but the crime that has seen him wanted by the National Crime Agency is an incident that occurred in 2007. Ferguson is also wanted in connection with similar crimes to this one. However, it's the crime that took place in 2007 that has put him on the list as a fugitive on the run. On June 28, 2007, barman Thomas Tam Cameron stepped outside of a tavern in Bishopbriggs, Scotland, where he worked and headed for the car park. Tam had been informed that two men in the car park wanted to have a word with him, so he headed outside, wondering what they could possibly want to ask him. As Tam approached the car park, he was attacked by a man while the other watched. Tam didn't survive the attack, and his colleagues and customers of the bar rushed out to his aid. Unfortunately, Tam was declared deceased at the hospital, and the Scottish police began their hunt for their suspects. After talking to witnesses, they were able to obtain information that led them to one man, Derek McGraw Ferguson. Witness accounts, along with evidence from the scene, confirmed that Ferguson was their man, and it wasn't until 2011, many years after the crime, that this information was released publicly, in the hopes of gathering more information about Ferguson's whereabouts. Since then, the Scottish police and the National Crime Agency have been attempting to track him down, but it's been to no avail. Authorities believe that Ferguson is now hiding out in Spain, and even issued a warning to holidayers who may come across him. It's even been alleged that Ferguson has undergone plastic surgery to conceal his identity, and authorities believe that his gang are helping him to hide out in Spain, Scotland, and possibly the rest of the UK. He's believed to be in possession of fake passports and is known to use several aliases. The National Crime Agency is appealing to anyone with information as to the whereabouts of fugitive Derek McGraw Ferguson to come forward. Ferguson is described as a white male with balding brown-gray hair and green-blue eyes. He's 5'2" and has tattoos of a heart, an arrow, and a dagger. Anyone with information is asked to contact the National Crime Agency at 0370-496-7622. or Crime Stoppers UK anonymously at 0800 555 111. Number 2. On April 28, 2018, the town of Ormskirk, located just outside of Liverpool, would be shocked by a horrific crime that happened while most of the town was sleeping. What should have been a fun and relaxing night for the two unnamed victims quickly turned into a chaotic one. As they were leaving the Horseshoe pub, they were attacked by 31-year-old John James Jones. Jones fled the scene almost immediately, while other pub-goers rushed to the side of the victims. Thankfully, both victims survived after being taken to the nearby Ormskirk Hospital, and the hunt for the perpetrator was quickly on. Witnesses were able to give accounts to investigators, and when paired with evidence, it led them to 31-year-old John James Jones. Unfortunately, just hours after the attack, Jones had left the country and had stayed in a hotel in Madrid, Spain. Since then, investigators have only been able to track a few of Jones's movements, and have been able to trace him to Ibiza, but after this, the trail is run cold. The Lancashire police have released very little information about the hunt for Jones, and it appears as though they're keeping their cards close to their chest. Both the Lancashire police and the National Crime Agency are looking to track Jones down, and they're asking anyone with information to come forward. The National Crime Agency describes Jones as white, 6'1" with dark hair and a stocky build. Anyone with information is asked to contact the National Crime Agency at 0370-496-7622 or the Lancashire Police at 01695-566-110. Number 1. Europol is currently offering a $5,000 reward for information that leads to the whereabouts of one of Europe's biggest crypto scammers. Ruja Inatova has made headlines across Europe over the past couple of years, and has even been dubbed the Crypto Queen. But behind her get-rich-quick scheme was a dark secret. Investigators poured thousands into the new OneCoin, a cryptocurrency that Ruja created while she was living in Bulgaria, and that she promised would surpass Bitcoin. Unfortunately, OneCoin was yet another crypto scheme designed to make the creator money while taking the funds from investors. Europol and other agencies estimate that Ruja and OneCoin have millions of dollars worth of assets and are estimated to have caused billions of dollars in damages across the world. Ruja promised investors that OneCoin would take them to the moon, a common phrase used in the crypto world, but instead she took all of their money and ran. She knew that the coin was worthless. However, she continued to promote it and continued to get investors to get their friends to invest in the coin, creating a Ponzi scheme. Ultimately, when OneCoin failed to give any return on investment, the investors were very unhappy, and a case against Ruja was built. According to Europol, Ruja was accused of fraud, including fraud affecting the financial investors of the European communities within the meaning of the Convention of July of 1996. While Ruja lived in a multi-million-dollar apartment in London, those who bought into the scheme lost everything and struggled to keep themselves afloat. Ruja Inatova has not been seen or heard from since 2017, and authorities are desperate to capture her and bring her to justice. Ruja's brother was arrested in connection with OneCoin. However, he did not divulge any details to authorities as to his sister's whereabouts. Ruja is described as a white female with black hair and brown eyes, and stands at around 5'3". She's originally from Bulgaria, but is a German national and speaks Bulgarian, English, and German, and is believed to possibly be hiding out in the North Rhine-Westphalia region. Anyone with information is asked to contact Europol at 3170-302-5000 or FAST Germany at 49-0211-939-6521. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked this video, be sure to hit that like button. Also, don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell to keep up to date with all of our future uploads. But my name is Ty Knotts, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.